Sri Lanka's coffee story is one of ambition, prosperity, and resilience. A tale that once reshaped the island's economy, landscape, and agricultural heritage, etched deeply into the soil of a colonial past. It was in the mid-18th century that coffee first arrived on the island's shores, introduced by the Dutch. Initially planted along the coastal belt, it was during British colonial rule that the crop truly found its place, in the cool, elevated slopes of the Central Highlands. In 1824, George Bird established the island's very first commercial coffee plantation at Sinhapatia, Gampola. His success sparked a movement. Planters, drawn by the promise of profit and fertile soil, began expanding into Kandy, Nuwara Eliya, and beyond. Governor Edward Barnes took a personal interest in the crop's expansion. By 1825, coffee was growing in Ganarua, now part of the Royal Botanical Gardens of Peradeniya, and several other newly established estates. The British government supported this growing industry, granting land and incentives to European planters. Soon, British entrepreneurs began arriving in droves, bringing with them the cultivation of Robusta and Arabica coffee varieties. With this expansion came employment. Thousands of locals, and later Indian workers, found labor on the estates. To move this precious crop to port, roads and railway lines were built, laying the groundwork for modern transport in the hill country. Coffee wasn't just a crop, it was an engine that drove an entire economy. By the 1860s, Sri Lanka had risen among the world's coffee giants, joining the ranks of Brazil and Indonesia. But glory, as history shows us, can be fleeting. In 1869, disaster struck. A fungal disease, coffee leaf rust, Hemilia vastatrix, swept across the island's plantations. Within 2 decades, Sri Lanka's once vibrant coffee estates were devastated. The economy shifted, and tea took root as the island's new agricultural king. While coffee faded into the background, the memory of its golden era lingered, and decades later, it would stir once again. Today, Sri Lankan coffee is experiencing a renaissance. With a growing coffee culture blossoming in Colombo and urban centers, demand for local high-quality beans is on the rise. Boutique cafes, artisan roasters, and enthusiastic farmers are now part of this revival story. 2 centuries since its humble beginnings, coffee is once again shaping lives and landscapes. Through research, innovation, and passion, Sri Lanka's coffee journey continues, rich in flavor, history, and hope. Sri Lanka's coffee, rooted in history, brewed for the future.